2, 1. All right. What is going on, everybody? Hope everyone had a great weekend. We are now live. Everything looks good on my end. If something doesn't look good on your end, please let me know. Yeah, it should be all good to go. Let's take a quick peek at. We'll take a quick peek at some initial things. In terms of those, in terms of SPAC plays, yeah, I've heard of some of them. We're gonna watch them. SPACs have been hot. So the problem is that with a lot of the SPAC plays is that the merger is kind of the question. So a lot of people have been, or a lot of ideas with a lot of SPAC plays are play the run up into the merger. That worked early on, and then it didn't work, and now it's kind of working again. It seems like. So we'll see what happens. There's still some concern with some of them. There's a lot of them nowadays, so they're all kind of different. At the same time, though, generally, the thesis is that they're doing pretty well. So what I've noticed recently is more so a sell-off after the merger or after the vote date. And then that's a good time to pick up some shares if you believe in it for the long haul or if you like the play. So that's at least my take. We'll look at some of them, and then we'll dive into a couple of. Yeah, the thing with some SPACs too is that generally they're going to have kind of like a $10 value. So your risk to the downside is $10. And so if you actually sometimes you should get like an email from like your broker or something, saying that, hey, if you don't want to hold pre-merger, right before we have the merger, if you want to get out, you can get out at like $10, or sometimes it's like $10.30 something cents, whatever it was. I think for SPAQ it was like 10.30 something. I remember getting an email about that saying, hey, like you can exit your shares right now at 10.32, and that's it. So that's kind of your like redemption value pre-merger, but then post-merger, like all bets are off. It's just you're riding the shares. My favorite SPACs right now are simply just PIC. PIC I'm still in. I've been in this one for quite some time, but it had a nice, beautiful move up on Friday. PIC, and then I made a video about AMCI, how I like both of these. I think these both have a shot for 20 plus very easily. I think AMCI might take a little bit longer, but PIC might make that run sooner rather than later. So PIC, we're expecting that merger in the next couple of weeks. And so we'll see. That's ultimately kind of like what's driving this guy. But again, PIC is the merger with XL Fleet. And so I'm sure I have some videos on this channel about it too. But they're honestly solid. They have sales. Like, this is not like, as much as I loved FSR and Fisker, and I think there's going to be some more price targets and more analysts on Fisker coming up this month and into next month. And really just honestly going forward. So I still have no reason to sell Fisker right now, even though I have a beautiful average up. At one point I was up over 100% on my average. Still no reason to sell it right now. I think there's still more potential. I mean, PIC, XL Fleet, they're kind of like in it right now. It's like they got this stuff going on right now. Whereas we got to wait till 2022 for Fisker. So that's why I kind of think this has potentially, more value near term, at least PIC, XL Fleet, once we get the merger going. So that's that. So PIC and AMCI are at least the two that I have in the shorter term account. Other than that, though, I have some other ones. LCA, I love LCA. I know we have the merger on the 18th now for LCA. So LCA, look at this little breakout of this downtrend. I think it was on a 4-hour chart, so that's why it's a little bit off. Because the 4-hour chart, someone asked about a question about this too. So the reason why you might see differences between this daily chart. So we're looking at the daily chart, where each of these candles is one day. This is just showing you what's going on pretty much from 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. So outside of that time frame, right, you're not seeing what's happening after hours and pre-market hours, which you generally will see different spikes. So take a look at the 4-hour chart and see like the differences that we're looking at on for example, LCI. Like, you wouldn't have seen this little spike up here. You wouldn't have seen some of these wicks and stuff like that, and you also wouldn't have seen how we closed up at the end, or at least in after hours. So that's kind of the difference that you're going to see. I like the daily chart because it's clean, and then that generally is where you'll see a lot of support and resistance lines being drawn from, although you can still get wicks up and down in pre-market and after hours, so that's useful to use as well. So really for me, it's like the daily chart, then I look at the 180-day chart, so the 4-hour chart, and then I'll zoom in from that time frame on just to find areas that I like as areas of support, resistance, things like that. So LCA I like a lot. I think we have a good amount of time up into the actual merger, into the vote date. So my anticipation with LCA is going to be let this kind of go, and if it goes crazy, if it goes like 30 plus, maybe I take something off and look to rebuy a little bit lower after the merger if we get a dip. But I don't want to sell, too many shares. I think LCA is a good shot to be, a $50+ stock at some point down the road. So for me I have a beautiful average like down somewhere in here in the 11s, under 13. So there's no reason for me to really sell it right now from what I'm seeing, but we'll see. Boom, boom, boom. Tuning in from Texas. Well, I'm also in Texas as well. There you go. Awesome. Neo. Taking a look at Neo. Also one thing to note too with that recent people have been talking about how the Chinese delistings and stuff like that. That's actually not something to worry about right now for a lot of these stocks with Neo, because, well, for Neo, for example, right? Because that actually has to, from when it's signed and officially put into law, right? It still takes, it's 3 years. So these companies have 3 years to comply with the standards of that. So, for example, a stock or a company like Neo, to be honest, I don't think Neo is going to be one of those companies that is potentially, at risk for kind of what's going on here. I think that they're a little bit more solid, whereas what I think a lot of that will kind of iron out in the years to come will be more of those penny stocks, the China penny stocks. If you guys ever watch the China Hustle, like literally go watch that. It's on Hulu if you have the time. That is like the perfect example. It's all these China companies, these like penny stocks, right? Where they would be faking their revenue, faking their information because, it's not regulated, right? Like it's rare that you're going to have someone from the U.S. go regulate that. So that these companies, kind of get on the U.S. markets and people can trade them. And people made a ton of money. Don't get me wrong. You made a ton of money early on, but then at the same time, they also got crushed once they kind of discovered what was going on with these companies. Like, hey, they're faking their revenues. These numbers aren't real. Their manufacturing facility is actually not even remotely what it sounds like from what they're saying, in press releases and things like that. So that's where I think it's going to kind of iron out a lot of those penny stock plays and those companies. But the solid ones, I think, I don't know. Again, I have no idea. I can't, I'm not seeing into what's going on. But that's probably where I'd be more concerned with. So Neo, I wouldn't be too worried about that. But Neo right now, I think was actually a decent buy. 38. Here's your support. I'm telling you right now, I missed the opportunity, so I'm not going to miss it again if it happens. But 38 was a beautiful support that we noticed back a couple weeks ago, right? I noticed it a couple times. It happened in pre-market hours as well, so we see more wicks down. But we came down there I think on Wednesday, right? We opened up, immediately sold off. Now, Neo is down like over 10% on the day at the time. And then it recovered from 38. It recovered up to 48. So a $10 swing in the day, which is nuts for a stock of that value. For the size of the float, that's a crazy swing. So I had my finger on the trigger for options for the day, and I just didn't take them. I wasn't paying as much attention to it, so I just didn't do it. Would have paid very, very nicely, very handsomely, let me tell you. But so $38 is support, so it looks like it's coming back down. If it comes back and tests around that level, that's a decent time to buy. Other than that, though, if we get a mid-30 area, like if Neo comes back into the mid-30s, I still think that's a pretty good opportunity to be buying. I think this is going to be a stock that hits $100 at least. I would imagine if things go to plan in 2021. That's my anticipation for Neo. I still think it has massive upside from where it is now. So keep going down the list. FSR, we'll go through a couple of these. LCA I still like. Let it ride out to the 18th is the date for the merger, so let's see what happens. CLVS, take a look at CLVS. It's coming up to this area that at least I have drawn in as resistance because it was a prior area of support. So this area right here, we have some wicks, so it's got to break through that 550 and hold above 550. If we get a close above 550 and then an open the next day above that level, that will be a good sign for CLVS. It made a nice recovery off of 4, but it's got to make it back through that level right now. So that's what we're watching for CLVS. Also, if we take a bigger, broader view, we look at the bigger picture and we broaden things out. Look at this downtrend line. We're like testing this line. So if I was to extend this off of some of those highs, we're like right at it. We're like teasing on that line. So I want to see us break above that 550 and hold. That would be a good sign for a potential reversal. This actually looks pretty good. Dollar or so downside risk for, potential bigger time upside. So I kind of like that. Personally. That's my thoughts there. FSR, I think we're going to start to see some more potential coverage by analysts, more price targets being set on FSR in the near term. So with FSR right now, we have some solid support here in the low 15. So if it does come down, it's got about $2 more downside, I think, before it catches some support. Yeah, it did pop to 23, so that was awesome when we had it. But it's pulled back since. Not a huge deal in my opinion. We're going to see these pullbacks. Now I want to see the next leg up would be my next hope for FSR. Still holding that one long, but I think we got time. I mean, this is they have they're building something in LA, an experience center in LA to kind of showcase their Fisker Ocean. So that's coming in May, I believe. So they still got this. They got time on this guy. I think there will be opportunities to be able to sell this thing for a lot higher, even before they start production. And then at that point, we'll see how things are going. If things still look on track, then there's, in my opinion, there's no reason not to keep holding it through production. So I like Fisker. I like what they're doing. So I it's something that I've been talking about for a while that I'm still holding from back in the day when we were back in from down here. So it's fun. PPSI, I understand for those who watched what happened in PPSI. They had news. It was my take on PPSI, to be honest. I love PPSI. We caught this big run, back in the day before it happened, which was awesome. Hurricane play, generator play. But since then, we popped up. We had news, so we got a nice pop, but then we came back down on PPSI a little bit at the end of the day, or at least on Friday. And so my take on it is that it's going to come back down. I wouldn't be interested in PPSI until we hit the 50 SMA, which is like 325, 350-ish would be my take. I wouldn't be interested in it. But even so, I wouldn't be a big fan of PPSI. It's one where you look back, you see prior history, EV stocks, battery stocks ran up, so this is kind of a sympathy play to that. And then with that, I see it coming right back on down, in my opinion. So I wouldn't be someone, I'm not, and I day traded it last week for a small scalp play, and that was it. I made a few dollars and then moved on. That's my take on it. Options good for LCA? I mean, yes and no. I'm not a big options fan with a lot of these plays, at least the stuff that I generally like to play. The only take on options, the way that I want to do it, and it's something that I'm waiting to build this account up a little more, because we're at 20,000, and based on my risk management strategy, a $2,000 position is like my max position size for any one stock or option or anything. So what I want to do is for stocks, for example, like LCA, or for like an SPCE, or for like a Fisker, like a longer term growth stock, or like even like a NEO, a longer term growth stock. Like for example, like let me show you guys like an example of what I'm talking about here. For NEO, right? I know it might be a little bit small. I'm going to look at the option chain really quick. And so if I'm looking for options for many of these stocks that I'm not looking at, like I traditionally play small cap penny stocks, oversold plays, catalyst plays, things like that. But when it comes to options on like higher potential growth stocks, that's what I would like to play. So I don't want to. I know we almost can know, like we know for NEO, right? It's going to make a move, right? It's going to be a higher price stock. I mean, of course you don't know, but I have fairly good confidence that next year this will be a stock worth much more. So for example, like for NEO, maybe I would look for like the April 16th, right, expiration contracts for 2021. So it's right. I mean, it's far out in terms of time. And then I would look to buy, like for example, if I'm looking to buy calls, right, I buy the $44 strike price calls. NEO's at 43. If NEO, I'm anticipating NEO to be over $100 at some point in 2021. So here's a longer term swing, but you can make so much more money on this if NEO makes a bigger push, and you don't need as much capital. So I would be a bigger fan for a lot of these option plays and SPAC plays. Buy the option on a red day, number one. And then number two, play it long term. It's going to cost you more money. So for example, this contract right here, is $11. So times that by 100. So it's going to be an expensive contract if I wanted to buy that. But if NEO is sitting at, let's say, come the time this expires, if NEO is at $100 or NEO is pushing $100, right? Do 100 minus 44. This is going to be worth a couple thousand. It's going to be worth like $6,000 plus dollars. So that's why you can literally go with 1,000 in and make 5,000 on the trade if you wait a couple months. So that's where I kind of like that's how I see options, and it's going to be something I do in like a longer term swing account, but waiting just to build up more capital for that, because that's the strategy that I personally like on options trades. The short-term stuff is awesome. You can totally kill it in terms of percentage gains, like super crazy, nutty option like gains, 1,000%, X, whatever, a couple 1,000%, super short-term. But for me, it's just the risk doesn't make sense for me. That's how I traditionally am. So everyone's different on how they want to handle it. Oh, also, when it comes to BOXL and LRN, the issue I have with those, so the thesis made sense, right? I'll look at BOXL. These are online education plays. I exited LRN, not that it's bad. I just exited it because I'm trying to clear up for some other plays. But I'm looking at this, so I can draw a trend line in right here, right? For example, for BOXL. And so we have a thing, so we're uptrending, which is good. The only problem with these online education plays is that we have vaccine news looming. So again, as much as I don't want to be messing with like Pfizer and Moderna calls and puts and stuff like that to mess with the vaccine, just in case if it doesn't go according to how we think. Like everything's pointing to the vaccine being approved, the emergency use being approved. Everything points to that. But what if, like, God forbid, what if it's not? I don't want to be caught with an option hand that expires worthless. That's just my opinion. That's just my take. So same thing with this. These plays almost certainly will drop on news of a vaccine. Now, does that mean that all of a sudden everything's fine, online education is gone, like no more need for Zoom, no more need for these platforms? No. We definitely need them for at least the next 3 to 4 months, at least, right? But that said, the market's going to be forward-looking and it's going to take that news and these are going to drop. So the time to buy that is going to be, hey, we get vaccine news, that could be a good dip buy opportunity for these plays. So personally, I think this is going to be your week to be able to scale out of some of these, the online learnings, even the food deliveries. Now, they were kind of like, for what I played them, they were kind of a wash. They weren't a loss, they weren't really a win, they were just kind of, nothing really happened. So it was fine. I'm fine with taking that and moving on. That's just my take. Now, I could be wrong. We'll see what happens. But if also the vaccine, there's bad news, these could spike, big time. So it's a risk, and I just don't have an interest in playing that risk. There's just no need. I mean, you could kill it if things go your way, but I just don't feel like I need to be messing with that. SNDL is one that a lot of people have been talking about. It's a stock for sure. I understand where it's coming from. My take on SNDL, if we are to zoom it out and get a sense. So we have a 60-cent support right here. That's got to hold. We drop below 60 cents, then I wouldn't be surprised to see SNDL coming down towards 50 cents. And then if that can't hold, then it could come down towards 40 cents and then 30 and 25. So that's just my take on SNDL. I think it's going to come down. Personally, I don't know. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I wish. Sorry about that. I wish I could tell you, oh yeah, all these weed stocks are going to run. I don't know. I have a feeling that they're going to come pull back, and then a good time to be buying them is over the next couple of weeks, going into January. I think at the end of December into January could be a decent time to start picking up some of these weed stocks. ECB, Tilray, SNDL, maybe not as much. SNDL is very volatile. If you get SNDL down lower, maybe. I would pass on that one for right now. SNDL is something that, hey, I would start building out some positions and potentially ACB, Tilray. There's plenty of other ones, CGC even. Building out positions in those stocks. Like for example, if I take a look at Tilray, I'll show you why I like it a lot, because not only do we have the uptrend that we've been seeing right now. Look at this uptrend. So we have this little line. If I extend it, we come out when this thing, if it comes back down towards this trend line. So right now it's at 860. If it gets this, if it takes a couple days to get to this trend line, it comes down to $8. Like, it's not a big drop. That could be a better spot to start accumulating more of these types of plays. SNDL is going to be more volatile. So you have ACB, you have Tilray, you have other plays. CGC, not as volatile as volatile, but SNDL is going to be crazy. So when we get a spike, SNDL could spike 20%. It could go 100%. When we get either good news or when a lot of these stocks start running. So I like to look at CGC. If CGC, for me, it looks strong. If CGC popped over 30, that would be awesome. So if CGC can get over $30, that would be the next kind of push to the upside. But if CGC kind of pulls back temporarily, maybe holds up and is kind of consolidating here in like the upper to mid to upper 20s, around 27 would be an area that I want to see it kind of hold up. If it holds up there, that could be a decent time. Let other plays kind of cool off and then rebuy them on some dips. I think that's a good idea into the next year. Okay, so I missed a few. Let me go back through. So that's my take on SNDL. Kern, same type of thoughts, at least in my opinion. Let me just look at Kern. It's got some significant range. I want to see Kern maybe do a 50 SMA bounce, so around 350 could be a better buy. 50 SMA is sitting at 350, so maybe that's a spot for Kern. LCA, small correction. It might pull back. I don't know. now we have time. So the date of the conference call for the merger is on the 18th. So we got time. So as much as like, oh, we've seen a big pop in LCA, it could certainly pull back in anticipation of the merger. Now we've been seeing a lot of kind of more like sell the news events lately, just in general. So we'll see what happens. But that's my take on that. Yeah, I'm in Austin down in Houston. So we got a lot of people watching from Texas. That's cool. HEPA. Yeah, I like HEPA a lot, actually. So my thoughts on HEPA, and someone asked also about kind of, let me clarify this too, about the areas, like I mentioned in a recent video, I used HEPA as an example, but like, they're like, where are you coming up with the 150, 125, $1? So when it comes to buying at support levels for HEPA, right? So I'm seeing right now we're holding up around 150. It was an area right back in here we held up pretty well. Right here we're holding up around 150 pretty well, right? So I see some support at 150. Below 150, it looks like we have a one like this right here. Look at these levels. This is at like 128, 127. So that's why I call it roughly 125. And then if we do drop below 125, we have a floor or bottom support here at $1, was our low we hit in recent months. That was back in March. So for me, I'm looking at HEPA, and I think they had just had an offering too. So looking at this gap over 175, we have a nice gap up towards like 215. So that's a beautiful, nice gap that could get filled. So we have that, and on top of that, so yeah, I'm adding that support. So I split my position up here into 3 pieces. So I'm looking at HEPA saying, hey, I have a max position of X. Let's cut that into thirds. I'm going to buy a third at 150. If it drops down, I'll buy a third at 125, or roughly, if it's 128, same thing to me. And then I'll buy a third at $1, so maybe like 102, 103. And if it drops below $1, I'm out. So now my average is going to be at around that 125. So I'm risking 25 cents, or about 20 to 30 cents to the downside, with potential first target here up around 2 to 215. So I'm at least 50 cent upside from at least right here. Now, if HEPA just decides to go on Monday or this week, if HEPA decides to go, I'm only in with a third because it hasn't come down to my next buy range. That's fine. I'm totally that's how I do it. That's just my strategy. Everyone's going to have their own strategy. That's just my strategy of adding at support levels and then selling into these pops. So that's just how I do it. But I like where it's at. I think it could have room to the downside, but it has a lots more room up, especially if we have a catalyst or if we get news. Which many times charts like this, you get news finds a chart like this. The companies know they drop a press release, they're going to get a pretty big spike, and that's that's a take. So. FCEL, I think, is going to be a good one. I think didn't they just close an offering? FCEL had an offering close, I believe. So we had this uptrend, and it cracked down below because I believe there was an offering, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember specifically, but yes. I think this is going to take another shot back up towards 10 plus. So that's my take on FCEL. Awesome. From Portugal, that's cool. How do I feel on Zoom after the sell-off? Let me take a look at ZM. Let's see. So Zoom popped up. We got earnings sell-off. It's back in a decent buy, but personally, I would be hesitant on Zoom, just because the play that we had and that I took was down in here to running up into earnings. So it was an awesome run up. It was a sell the news event. Earnings come, boom, drops. So now it's back around 400. The thing with Zoom is that, like I said before, with a lot of these online learning education plays, Zoom has been one that, hey, like if we have that contribute to a lot of these drops. So we're getting close to that Pfizer, emergency use news. So if that comes out, I just don't want to be caught in the middle here with Zoom and have it drop on me. So especially with options, if I had shares, not as big a deal, but I don't want to be messing with options on that. Personally, that's my take. Let that iron out, and then it could be another dip opportunity, I think, for sure. Let the vaccine news come out. If Zoom does drop down below, like, some of these levels, under 400, back towards like 350, that could be an awesome dip buy. So that's that. Riot. The thing with Riot, so let me take a look again here at Bitcoin. What's Bitcoin up to? So it's at 19.3. So Bitcoin's, we drew this in kind of a super rough kind of bull flag kind of look. So we drew this guy in, and Bitcoin is kind of like breaking out and trying to push up. So I'm going to leave it there as a rough kind of line, as some rough lines for you guys to kind of see. But generally what you'll see is here's your pole, and here's your kind of flag look, like your pennant-shaped flag. And now we're breaking out to the upside over this kind of downtrending, lower highs being put in. Higher lows, lower highs, eventually get to a point, and either you're going to move up or you're going to move down. And it looks like we're moving up, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. So if we do get a big push, potentially Riot, Mara are my top plays, but I have some Mara left. Riot I sold because I rode Riot up from a nice 750 average to 10 plus, and I said, you know what? They also filed an S3, so they can drop an offering. My take on that is that, hey, what I would love to see happen for Riot is they drop an offering Monday morning. I'm not in now, so those who are in, I hope this doesn't happen to you, but what I would love to re-enter Riot, they drop an offering, the stock price plummets just temporarily, I buy the dip, and then we get Bitcoin to break out over 20K, and then Riot runs back on up, breaks over these highs. That's what I would love. You can always have that in the back of your head, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. So we'll see. The reason why is I would just love for them to get the offering out of the way, just so that we can move on. And they may try to do that. So that's potentially what's going on here. They filed an S3. We'll see what happens if they do drop the offering soon. Some companies like to keep that in their back pocket, and they don't actually, drop an offering on you for a while. So that's that. If you guys would not mind smashing the thumbs up button. So what happened last Sunday is we hit a record high. We hit literally 300 plus likes on the stream, which is nuts. So if we can get even just close to that level, I'd be happy. I think we were trying to get 200 and we got 300, so that's nuts. So here's AIM. So AIM is back down. My only issue with some of these plays, so AIM's got a support down around this 165-ish area, so it's not bad. It's going to try to break 50 SMA is sitting just 205, so it's going to pop above that level. We're seeing a lot of these plays, even potentially like vaccine-related plays and stuff like that. I don't know. They may have some potential pull with the vaccine and stuff coming out, but we'll see what happens. My only thing with some of these is that they've been overplayed. Like AIM has been one that was played so many times, like back months ago. So a lot of these like names that we've been seeing, many times is that they've just been played too many times, and so they may have just been. It may be a good reset, so now it could be time to go back to AIM. We'll see, but it doesn't look like it's a bad spot. Just a 165 or so downside risk, so you're risking whatever it is, 35 cents to the downside for targets. For me, I don't know. It could certainly get halted by this 50 SMA and then the 200 SMA. So maybe you have 25, 50, 30 cent upside risk. Potentially, if you get news, it could run more. Maybe. I just don't see as much upside as I would want to see. Not that you have much downside, but I don't know. I think there's other plays, in my opinion, that have more potential. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know enough about AIM personally. Under 2 could be a good load zone, though, for AIM. THCB. Take a look at THCB. I don't know. It's kind of in this range, like it says 10 to 13, so now it's kind of in here, so this could be a decent spot to picking something up. We also have, what we can probably do is we can probably draw something. It's not perfect. We can draw a downtrend. So there's a downtrend, so if we can break out of this downtrend on the daily chart to the upside, this may make a run back up over 1375. So what I like to see too with a lot of stocks on even 1 day, 1 minute patterns, on daily chart patterns, is you see a big push, a pullback, and then a U-shape back on up. And then when the U-shape back on up, you break out, you clear the past high. So we clear back over this high. That usually signals a nice breakout further. So that's my thoughts. Pfizer, I wouldn't mess. Personally, I wouldn't mess with, but we can look at it really quick. I mean, you get the vaccine news that we're waiting for. Yes, it's going to pop. You don't, it's going to drop. I mean, it's not as volatile, but although the option contracts you can buy, for this, yeah, they're going to be at a different. You can play them, and it's binary, where like you can either be killing it if we get the move up, or you could just. I would have loved it down here because we knew when it was we knew this is coming. So I'm personally back in this consolidation here in the mid 30s. Would have been the best place to catch this run up, and you could be selling into this run up and saying, "Hey, I'm good," So that's my take on Pfizer. I'm not a huge fan of messing with it right now. If it does push up, it pushes up. Not something I personally want to mess with, just because God forbid, what if the news isn't what we thought? Then I just don't want to be in that. HYLN, I haven't looked at the chart. I have some in my other account. So HYLN, let's see, it's right back down here at this support level, so it's in a decent buying spot, down around 18, I would say. The only issue here with HYLN that I'm seeing and that I'm noticing lately is that it's just kind of been a shame because they just haven't really. I was expecting more out of them. I was expecting post-merger, we'll see some more news, we'll see some more things coming, and I just haven't gotten enough personally. So we'll see what happens. If it cracks below the support, I may have to reassess my position. It could be a good ad spot, but we'll see. There could be other stuff in the meantime that could be, potentially more lucrative, at least shorter term. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. The thing with HYLN is that they have some insane projections in terms of revenue, in terms of numbers, over the next couple of years. So 2021 to 2022 to 2023, 2024, some massive jumps. So it could be a patience play for those who are in it, for those who are riding it out. But at the same time, it may not be. They're kind of bridging the gap right now between like what we have going on. So they're kind of bridging the gap between ultimately we want to go full electric vehicles, kind of full renewables. And what Hyliion's doing is kind of like bridging that gap in the meantime. And it's like, is that like a great idea? Like, is that a great thing to be involved in long term? I don't know. So that's my take on it right now. I'm not a huge fan, although I have some. It's not my favorite position as of right now, and it's getting towards a good buy range for just technical analysis wise. But we'll see. I know a lot of people like Cgix. I do. I don't have any, but I do like it. And it popped after hours here to 1085. I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing over $11 tomorrow. It's getting a lot more attention, a lot more volume. But this is probably something that I think if you can get under $11, you're probably going to be able to make money on it. At least short term, you should be able to make money on it. Just understand that I've seen a lot of social media talk on it. And when you get that attention, when you get a lot of social media, I don't want to say hype, but when you get a lot of attention and talk on it, generally my experience has been with stocks like that, they don't always go your way. For example, FSR is that perfect example. We had so much hype, so much attention. So the thing is going up, it's pushing up, it hits, $18, and then after that, boom, plummets, consolidates, boom, drops again, and then it was like, oh, and then, the ideal time was to be buying it under 10, and then it pushed back up. So those who bought, did great down here. But, that's my only concern. So just be careful on stuff like that you're seeing a lot of people talking about. If you're getting the idea from somebody else who has a lot of followers, or if you're seeing a lot of hype and that's how you find the play, that's cool, and it could totally go. But just understand that there's a lot of people in it, and so when something goes wrong, you might see some more volatility in terms of sell-offs, in terms of pushes up. So you get people who have it on their radar, just didn't buy in, that start chasing it as it runs up, so it could push it further up. And then those who are like, don't really know what's going on, and who just bought in because somebody told them to buy in, and so once it starts selling off, they panic sell and they're out, and you can see a further continuation or kind of a bigger downside sell-off. So those could be good days to be buying. So that's what I would watch for. Our low stocks. So you're holding NVIV. I don't think I'm actually holding NVIV right now. Let me see. No, I am not holding NVIV. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, you know why? Oh yeah. So NVIV. So here's what happened. So we had a bottom play. It's actually I'm looking to re-enter. I think I was in it actually for a time being. I had a sell order here at like 89. And it hit 88.27 or something. So yeah, it hit that like at 4 a.m. So like it just was shy of my sell order. So it is what it is. I sold it because I was up on my position, and I'm going to look to reload. And now it's back down. So we kind of have a nice bottomed out play. So I like it. It has a nice little gap to fill up towards this $1, but we have the 50 SMA here around. The reason why I put my sell at 89 is because the 50 SMA was up around like 89 at the time that I was looking at it. So it just missed it. So I like it. Down around 50 cent support is beautiful. So you have about 10 to 13 cent downside risk from where it's at for much more upside. I mean, you're seeing the upside to, I would say, 90 cents to potentially more. If we get news, this thing has news, a nice $1 plus move is certainly not on the card. So it has some more volume because it's been getting more attention in some chat rooms and things like that. That's what I've been seeing for NVIV. That's my at least what I've seen. PXS, let's take a look at PXS. So another shipper play. The thing is here, the shipper plays, so PXS, GLBS just had earnings. I wouldn't play with that right now. SHIP, there's a bunch of other ones. ESCA, I think. There's a bunch of shipper plays. These have a shot right now. They saw some volume on Friday, so we'll see if these get a nice push into this week. I wouldn't be buying it necessarily up here. I would love to be buying it down in here in this consolidation area. So 90 cents or lower would be ideal. But a nice push. These things go quick. We'll see what happens. So that's just that. let's see. What else? That's my take on that guy. NAK has a good gap. News of lawsuit. I don't know enough about it, NAK, to tell you the lawsuit news, so I don't know. It's got a potential room up, a bottomed out play. Yeah, I know. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of it, though. It has seemed to be pushing up the past couple of days, getting more volume, but I might just stay away. I'll look into it a little more. That's one of those plays where you look at the chart. It looks good. It looks like it's got a decent support here in the low 30s. So, hey, you look at the chart, you find the chart first. That's how I look. That's how I do it. I find the charts first that I like, and then I dive a little bit deeper into what's going on. What's driving it? Do they have more news coming? Like SONN was a perfect example. It popped up on a scan that I was doing, and I have a video talking about how to find the next 100% penny stock runner. Like, I just made the video a couple days ago, and SONN was an example where I saw it on the scan. I was running, just checking through a couple different things, and I found the chart and said, hey, this chart looks really good. Like, we're sitting here at 250. We have our low of the past few months is at 223. So 25% downside risk here. Look at these spikes. Okay, I read the latest press releases, and it literally said they're anticipating to announce more results in the next couple weeks. So they announce more results. Yeah, okay, the results could be bad, so there's the risk. You always take that risk. But a lot of times these companies, they know what they're doing. So a good chart, right? Good news will find a good chart. And so, they'll word the news in a way, and the news sounds good, or whatever happens, and we get a pop. And to me, it's worth the risk, right? It's sitting at support. Even if we get bad news, it's not like we're going to get terrible. I mean, there's always the risk of anything happening, right? It's not like we're looking at like, okay, this is binary. They have a massive, trial, or they have a massive, phase 3 level of data coming out, or they have an approval from the FDA. Either it's going to get approved or not. That's more like, okay, this could be a big drop or a big pop, This situation where they're just going to announce more results, I mean, this is not like, if they're not great, so what? The drop shouldn't be that bad. So we're not risking that much of the downside, but if it's good news, this could send the stock flying. And we look to the left, like we always like to do. We look to the left, look at these spikes. We have a spike from 250 to, 5, and we have a spike from 260 to almost 8. I mean, those are nutty spikes. So SONN is looking prime for a potential move like that in the near term. So that's how I found it. So I find the chart, and then I look a little bit deeper. Cgix, I like this one a lot. So we had a support here around 210-ish, and it's pushing up. We're seeing a little more attention on it. So I'm looking for this thing to make a push towards 3, and then potentially has a gap to fill around 335-ish. So I like it a lot. And this is one of those charts. We look left, look at these spike, look at these potential. So this is one that I like. I like Cgix a lot. And downside risk, wouldn't want to hold this thing under 2. Really under 210, wouldn't really like it, but I don't think it'll fall below 210 unless there's negative news. So that's my take on that. Let's see. Investing in NGA, line runner seems to be huge. Don't know enough about it, but if the talks with Amazon are real, appreciate it. Well, I wish I knew more about NGA. Love your content. I appreciate it. Guys, that's the thing that I said in the recent stream. I'm going to be doing more streams. I'm going to make a point to do that because I know I've been getting a lot of feedback from the streams. People like them. That's I'm definitely making a point to do more of them. So now I'm missing a ton of comments. I know I'm missing so many, but let me go back through and see. Okay, so FCEL. I like FCEL. I'm seeing some comments about that. NVIV at 66 has some support down towards like 50, I believe. So I don't think it'll come down that far, but that's a potential spot for that. ADMP is a funny one. We got caught, at least I got caught in ADMP back when they had the bad news, recent news from the FDA. But the thing is that the funny thing was that, okay, I sold it. Yeah, I sold it like in the mid 40s at the time, but it fell to like, upper 30s to low 40s. It found support around 40 cents. It literally fits my exact, criteria for like a type of play that I would like. And if I was, in a different mindset where I just didn't want to deal with it, so I was like, I'm out. I could have just been looking at this if I wasn't in. Hey, I'm going to buy this thing at 40 cents. And look at this. It popped 55. I mean, that's a nice percentage on whatever that is. Like 40 to 55 cents is solid right off the bat. So, you already did pretty well. So that's exactly the idea. Now, gap up towards the 60-something cents. So it's got some room. So I like that. HEXO, a lot of those weed-related plays, HEXO could be, nothing bad. I think it's going to come back down potentially. It's a very thick stock. I'm not a huge fan of it, to be honest. With a lot of these weed plays, I'd rather go with ACB, Tilray, CGC, SNDL, stuff like that, IGC even. HEXO is it was thick. It was a slow move. When I say thick, a lot of buying volume can come in and the stock doesn't move that much. So that's what I was kind of like, I wish it moved more. For some people, they like the slow moves, which is good, and for some people, they don't. I personally don't. As long as you get a good entry, I don't like the slow moves. If you get a good entry, you're fine. Who cares? If you're getting a bad entry, then a slower move up or down is probably better for you. Okay, guys, we are at 73 likes. I know we can do better. We're at 250 plus people on the stream. We can definitely hit a higher. We can hit a higher like ratio here. We had 300 last Sunday. We got to get close. At least 200 is what we're looking at. Vaccine plays junk. I know I have people who are on both sides of that. I've gotten comments saying, hey, you're missing out on these vaccine-related plays. And then I've also, people. I'm personally not a huge fan. I mean, I'm not a big fan. They were overplayed back in, early phases of the pandemic. And so, I'm not a huge fan of that. But they may do well. And there may be other plays to play because we get vaccine news. So just because we get vaccine news. And for example, one of those stocks, like I said, and I've mentioned it before in a video, is HOFV. When this stock had an offering, it dropped down to 109, and it's been grinding up ever since. I actually bought some, but we get vaccine news. I mean, this is a stock that we're really they are reliant on getting things back to normal. Hotels, kind of just more fan experiences for the NFL and things like that. So they're relying on that, and it's going to take some time, but we can't get there until we get vaccine news. And so that's what we're waiting on for HOFV. But again, vaccine news, this thing could certainly spike back up towards $2 easily if they have their own news. Look at the potential. When they dropped their own press release, this thing went to $6.50. So it might not be a terrible idea to have some in your back pocket for those of you who are not, who don't know much about it. I have a video on this stock as well, so it's not a bad idea. I personally think it's a solid play based on where under 150 is probably very safe. In my opinion, not going into huge, but just understand, the risks associated, right? But under 150 seems like it's fair. You should get a spike at some point, a backup. FedEx, I know there's a lot of UPS, FedEx plays into the end of the year, which could be a decent idea. Good for option calls on Home Depot, HD. Let's take a peek at HD. So yeah, we got some support in the low 260s, which looks decent. It has some, right around where it's at. I would like to see it bounce though. Don't really want to see it drop too much more. If it can, this looks pretty primed for a decent move back up. So we take a look, because you're buying this guy. Here's your kind of horizontal trend line on the top. And then we can do another horizontal trend line through that. So there you go. Here's your range on Home Depot. Low 260s, back up here to 290. So that's your kind of range that we're looking at. This looks like a good spot. If you want to buy some calls, just give yourself some time. Just be careful. Give yourself a little bit of time. And what you also will see too is that, see how there's this D right here, the dividend, showing the dividend? Many times you get a sell-off right after the dividend, potentially. You can see that sometimes. So I'm not surprised that we're seeing a little bit of a sell-off. Selling off in a stronger market. That's one thing to also note too. SPY, I'm sorry I'm missing a bunch of these questions. I know there's just too many sometimes to go through, but I'll scroll through really quick. So SPY broke out here over this 365. So SPY is looking really bullish. Now, I was about this week that they are potentially, stimulus is expected potentially as early as Monday. So if we get stimulus news, we get vaccine news. As much as there's so many things driving the market potentially, there's so many reasons why the market should not be up as high, it should go down. That would be a very strong push into the end of the year. Very strong. I would not be surprised to see SPY pushing 400 into the end of the year if we get stimulus before the end of the year, and we also get vaccine news, positive vaccine news. The Pfizer vaccine is good to go. When that, if we get both of those things, SPY to 400, why not? As crazy as it sounds, it looked very bullish the past couple of we looked at last stream, and it was looking very bullish to me. And here we are. Now we're breaking out to the upside. So there's that. So that's a good sign for the overall market. Now, if we take a step to look at future, they're about even. Futures are even. Tech slightly up, small cap slightly up. They are what they are. that's nothing really to worry or be overly concerned either direction when you see futures that are barely up or down. So not too much, at least for right now, unless something happens tomorrow morning between now and then, That's that. Okay, FCL I like. Has Fubo ever been? Yeah, Fubo? No, Fubo. So it has. It was something that I bought. I bought a couple weeks back. And it's funny. See this line right here? I saw developing some resistance up in here, and I sold until he then broke through. It is what it is. I had an average actually under 10 on Fubo. I believe I was buying it like right in here. So I bought it under 10 and I sold it 15. For me, that was great because I had, I think I was in, it wasn't in this account, it was in a longer term portfolio. I was saying, hey, I'm going to hold this for a little bit long, just, see what happens. My longer term swing trades, like in that account, what I'll do is I'm not watching every day. It's a Robinhood account. I don't care about what's happening pre-market, after hours. I hold cash there. I hold money that I'm going to pay taxes on for things. And so it's in swing trades. I'm long-term swings, long-term investments. That's what I kind of do with that account. So I bought some. I said, hey, I'm up nicely on this already. I was up a couple $100 in the position from, throwing, I forget how much I threw at it, but I threw between $500 and $1,000 at it, so just to give it a shot. I was up a couple $100, right? Saying, hey, sure, I'll take it. I could have made a lot more, obviously, as we're looking at it now. I think Fubo could be a good long-term hold. I think it can, but it had been on my radar once, but that's nuts. Let's see. Let me run down through. We talk about ADMP, OCGN. Is that on my list? Because I had a list. Yeah, it is. Okay, so OCGN has. So I have a list of what I do is I'll do a scan like I did in that recent video talking about how to find the next 100% penny stock runner. So I'll do a scan just briefly on social media through the finviz.com, right? I found OCGN and then I look a little bit deeper and I see they have a reverse stock split vote on the 11th. So I wouldn't be touching OCGN till the 11th. If they get the reverse stock split approved, what you'll generally see with a lot of these stocks, they have the stock split. Okay, so we shorten up the float, we tighten up the float so the stock can move a lot faster, and then many times the companies will drop a press release. They have a fresh, tightened up float, a smaller float. What does that mean? There's less shares available to trade, which means the stock can move a lot faster up or down, obviously. Ideally, when you drop a positive press release, even if it's just like a fluff PR that no one cares, it doesn't matter. Even if it's just fluff, it doesn't matter. You drop fluff, the stock will spike and it will push. So that's what I'll be watching for OCGN. So I'm not messing with it until then, although it is uptrending. So it's got a nice little uptrend. It could get a run before the 11th, and I may miss it. I'm just not going to mess with it until then. So that's my attempt. Or you could play it, and generally, I just wouldn't hold it through the 11th, but through the vote, because you'll see a pullback generally if they approve the reverse split. For whatever, that's just generally what you see. EFOI, let's take a look at EFOI. And sorry if I am super behind on the chat. I'm just kind of doing my going down through. So I know these are super old messages, but I'm going to I'll catch back up in a second here. So this chart looks pretty good. Some support. We had some consolidation right here. This 460. We came down to it, wicked down, but held it up pretty well, holding pretty well. So what I would be doing here is I'd be putting in this guy right here, rough. Not a perfect line, but I'd be rough, rough line. So wouldn't want to see this thing dropping too much below, these lower wicks. And I also, we're seeing some of these drops below 450 are just wicks. And so I wouldn't want to see, a day or two sustain below that. So this looks pretty good. UV light disinfectant, that looks pretty cool. That could be nice. That could be deliveries in Q1 2021. This could be a nice play into next quarter for sure. I like that actually a lot. May have to drop, but I'm going to write it down. EFOI. Just because, I'm looking at a bunch of things and I see a large upside potential here for sure. So I like it. Appreciate it. Bought some GIK on Friday. Stocks getting hyped. GIK, let's take a look. GIK Capital. Yeah, I don't know enough about it. I wish I did. But it looks, like it's trying. So it had this, this is not, we don't have much chart history to go off of here. So we kind of had this downtrend that we had, for a couple of days, roughly like that. And then we broke out and we're pushing up. So now this is like that pattern that I like to see. So push up, we hit a high. Okay, cool. We come back down and we start, rounding the corner, we see like a U shape back on up. And if we break back over this 1420, right, what we usually see is a bigger breakout. So 15 plus could be a bigger move. So I like it. It looks solid. I mean, you don't have much downside risk to take $10. I mean, so what's your downside risk here? Not much in this case. GPS. Let's take a look at GPS. Gap. So it's actually looking decent. And we talked about it, I think, last stream as well. So it's been pushing up, and guess where it came to? 50 SMA lining up perfectly with this larger trend line that we have. So it looks really good. I like it a lot. As long as it holds $20, I wouldn't want to see it drop below 20. So you're risking $1.50 downside. If you play options, yeah, you're risking more. But again, just stock price wise, you're risking $1.50 downside. But if we can break back above this 23, we got a gap back up to 25 plus. So there's a bigger move in the cards here if we can get this thing back on up to 23. And this type of play into the holiday season, I think it could be a solid idea. Just my take. So this looks good. It's holding the trend line very well. So I like that. I like how we kind of came to it. And now we're kind of consolidating and looking like we want to put a bigger move back on up. So that's a good sign. MVIS, Microvision is pushing up. I mean, it's getting up to that point. I don't know enough about it to tell you, okay, buy it up here. So for me, I wouldn't be interested in buying it up here. But if it came down towards like this line, yeah, I might get a little more interested. So maybe back to that 50 SMA around 2. Low 2s, better buy, but if it breaks back above here, this 275, and it breaks above 3, this thing has got some room. So look at some of these wicks. Look at these highs right here. We got to break above those levels. Those are resistance levels. So if we can't break above them, we're probably not going to be able to. We're going to come back down. We had a pretty big push on Friday. Then we have a 345. So if we get news or we get a bigger push, this thing can go. It has some range up. It's just that right now, either if you're playing it, if you're going to get in now, be careful of knowing that you're buying it up towards some resistance levels. If we break through, that's one thing that's cool and you'll make money. But if we don't, it could come right back down. So I'm not a huge fan of buying it up at resistance unless I know I'm ready to get out very quickly. I'm watching it closely. Okay. Am I gonna get into Airbnb this week? Maybe someone I'll be watching. FCL I like. Tilray, we have a nice trend. So we talked about Tilray a little bit earlier. Let's just talk about it. So here's a weed stock. Well, here's your weed stock Tilray. And we're looking at it. Look, I mean, like it's sitting here at 850-ish area. I mean, down towards this trend line is like $8. If it comes down like, okay, tomorrow, okay, yeah, it could come down $1. But if it takes a couple of days, this trend line, it's not a big dip. So let it come down. In my opinion, I'm going to wait for it to come down to this trend line. I'm out of it. And if it goes back up, we'll see. I think this has a lot of potential into next year. My take. Down towards the trend line, I like it a lot better. I like ADM. Well, ADMP is getting back up there. It was a better buy in the 40s, lower 40s. Lots of sell off on hot stocks on Friday. Should be some bounces. Yeah, there should definitely be some bounces. The cup and handle has been smoking hot. It has. Cgix, Canadian stock. Let's take a look at Cgix. Don't know enough about it to tell you, like, hey, like, I like it a lot, but just chart-wise, if we just take a peek at what we got going on, I mean, it's trying to make a reversal. We have somewhat of an uptrend developing right here. We can draw that in, kind of roughly, not perfect. We can draw something like that. So, yeah, if it comes down a little bit more, down to the lower 30s, could be a better buy, in my opinion. Don't know enough about it to just give you my full take, though. CBAT has been something I've been seeing a decent amount of stuff on social media as well. So what are we looking at for CBAT? CBAT, I want to see if it comes down towards this like 5. If it comes down a little bit more, I would like it a lot. $5 support could be a better spot. 50 SMA is pushing up pretty quick, so the 50 SMA is going to be continuing to inch up. We have a prior high right here, this 485. We have a prior kind of like gap. The gap begins kind of at this $5. So if we might find some support here around 5, it can come down a little bit further. It may not go all the way to 5, but that may be a rough area to be looking at. So I would be a little bit greedy if it was me and buy it towards 5 with potential, 100% upside for sure. But it also has some support down towards $283. If it comes down towards here, fills this gap to the downside, down around 4 could be a good buy. So that's that. Hyliion filed something. That's okay. We'll probably take a look at that this week too. I thought I heard someone say ACB filed something as well, so that's something to watch. Those are two things to look at. HCIC Canoe I like a lot. I like that. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, this thing is a beautiful play. I personally, nothing that I missed out. I knew about it. I just didn't take the trade. I bought PIC instead. But, you know, back when it was down here. So, like, when HCAC came down to, like, the low 10s, I bought PIC. It was the same thing. Look at this chart, right? Look at PIC's chart. Same thing. Same exact thing. So, I bought PIC instead. Chart setup for me, at least. I think they're both potential longer-term plays, too. But I like them both. HCSC may have a little more potential because I think, at least near term, it's got, you know, some room to break out over that 15 that we got to see. People have been talking about snow. So what's up with snow? Okay, well that's why. It's been breaking out. So it's been pushing up. We talked about this one I think last stream too, and it's been pushing up very hard. So now I want to see 400. So can we get 400? That'll probably just be like a natural level. Solid number, whole number. Can we break 400? If we can do that, that'd be awesome to see to the upside for snow. All right, guys, so we are over 300 people watch this video. I appreciate you guys so much for watching, but if you wouldn't mind just hitting the thumbs up button, helps out so much with the channel, helps out with the stream and get more ideas flowing in the chat. Going back and forth, people in the chat, giving out great ideas. I love you guys for doing so, and I've already gotten some good ideas already from this, so that's awesome. MRIN. Tiny float. Let's take a look at this guy. Yeah, oh yeah. So MRIN, this looks pretty good. I mean, 50 SMA bounce, beautiful, right? We did it before, bounced off it before, boom. So that's your support right now, which is like around $2. So it's pushing up, but I mean, if this thing can break over this 250, it's got room probably towards 275, 3. And many times you'll see good news finds a good chart. So if we get some good news, we have 100% potential for sure with MRIN. I like that setup. AMTX. I think we've been talking about AMTX recently too. AMTX. Oh yeah. I'm pissed because I missed it. We were talking about this one, I believe, on a live stream at some point when it was like, I think it was a live trading. Maybe it was the Friday after Thanksgiving. And it was oversold, right? And it bottomed out. But then I remember it was on my list. I had it right here. I was ready to go. And then it just ran. So I missed it. So for me, I'm not going to touch it because it filled the gap and it ran. So I would like to see it come back down towards $2-ish. That's where I'd be interested in it, but I'm not a huge fan of it. If you see a stock spike like that, for me, I mean, maybe you can play it. Maybe there's ways to do it. There certainly are. I would just like to let it cool off. I don't play something after a spike like that. So I mean, if this thing just went from like 230 to like 350. I'm not going to touch it, personally. TTCF. I'm waiting for a little recovery on this guy. So Tattooed Chef. Come on. I mean, let's see a push back up. I have some. I might be buying more soon too. But I want to see a bigger move back up. So it's trying to find some support right where it's at right now, around 14, 15. $16 after hours. So okay, looking good. A lot of recent SPACs. This is actually a very similar chart to Hyliion. So look at this chart. Okay. Look at Hyliion. Very, you know, similar looking charts in a sense. So there you go. So I mean, these stocks recently had, you know, the same. They kind of fell in line with having the merger at the same time, around the same time. So a similar thing. We've been selling off since. This was formerly FMCI, I believe, to Tattooed Chef, TTCF. Are you on MDGS yet? But oh yeah, we talked about this one. So actually, let me just make sure I have a note for it. Oh shoot. Whoops. I don't want to do that. So MDGS, we have this 200 SMA support right here around this 185-ish area. Under 2, I think, is a decent spot. Gap filled to 225, and then there's another gap up here toward 275. So this could be a nice play. I like it. We looked at it. I forgot to just. It was on my list. I just didn't take an entry in it. So I want to I'll look a little further into this guy come tomorrow. I have some powder, as I say. I have some cash ready to go. So the next question is going to be, what do I want to do? Do I want to be buying, adding to my positions, or do I want to be finding some new ones? So I may be looking to find some new ones because I got some powder to go here. NA Kitty, not a huge fan. just because it ran so much. Let it come. I mean, it's kind of, but it's looking like it's trying to make a bull flag kind of look. So maybe it's trying to do something. Here's your kind of downtrend for right now. We kind of have a decent support uptrend here, like higher, lower. Here's your kind of support levels, right? So you're trying to do something. Either it's going to crack down below this 17, or it's going to push back up and make a move back towards like 25, 30 cents. Maybe. I'm not a huge fan of it, though. I liked it down here. I mean, that's it. That's just for me. That's that. Neo, I like Neo a lot longer term. Okay, I've been seeing a lot of Home. So Home, for those who don't know, is at home. If you haven't been to an at home, I recommend it. They're huge. Some that I never been to prior to actually investing or trading. I mean, a lot of the stocks that I trade, like a lot of these penny plays, I'm not really investing in them. I just say I'm trading them. Investing is something where I could talk about like my longer term holdings, which I talk about too. Like for example, like Nia, I'd be more of like a little bit more of an investor. Although I'm not going to be like, okay, like I'm all in Neo and I'm not going to sell a share for 5 years. If I want to sell a share, if I change my thoughts, I'll change my thoughts and I'll sell a share. I'll sell some shares. I was backing it here, but Home is kind of dipping, so it didn't hold at 50 SMA. I would like to see it back towards like 15. If it comes down towards 15, maybe that's a better spot, personally. I don't know. Kind of a weird looking chart. I mean, in terms of range up and down, I mean, back here was awesome, but now it's like, I don't know. Just my take. So I maybe down towards like 14, 15, I would say, is potentially back in this level of consolidation. We have support down to like 13, so you have some, it looks like it wants to come back down more. So if it comes back down more, it's a better buy, in my opinion. And NDM, I bought actually the long-term portfolio, and NDM is one of those where it's had a lot of offerings, but like this stock just continues to go and bounce off of these offerings. It just like, if they have another offering, it's like buy the offering. Just buy it and it will go up tomorrow. Like that's what it's been doing. I bought NDM. I have an average, I believe, in the $4 or $5 range. So like I bought it somewhere in here and I just forgot about it. And it's been like 2-3 weeks, not even. And I look at it and I'm like, I'm almost up like 50% on my position. Let me actually pull it up. Let me quick really, because NDM, I just bought it saying, hey, I like it long term. I read enough about it. I looked enough into it and I bought it. Like, hey, okay, whatever. So let me see. Where's my NDM shares? I have an average of 493. Okay, so I must have bought NDM like somewhere like in here or like, I don't know, somewhere here. And it's up 44% from my average. And that's nuts for like something that I just bought kind of randomly, and that's cool. Okay, so BlackBerry names, Anil. BlackBerry, not a huge fan, but I mean that's still it got a big pop this week. DraftKings, DKNG. Let's take a look at DKNG. So DraftKings is recovered nicely out of this kind of downtrend breakout, which looked really good. But what we can do now is we can probably put in a nice little uptrending support little line. So we're at that line. So based off of putting in higher lows recently, DraftKings is right there. So it's looking pretty good. This could be a bounce zone. So I wouldn't want to hold DraftKings personally. If it does fall below, like, I think it's a decent play long term anyway. But if you're trading it, cracks this trend line, maybe look to get out. If it falls below like 46, falls below some of these bottoms right here, maybe look to get out for the short term if you're playing options or something like that. But if you're playing long term, I think it's to be buying. Let's see. I'm holding UVXY until we get past the holidays. Let's see. Moving to certain areas. And at home is getting popular. RKT, I like a rocket. I just don't think it's a big mover. I think it's fine under 20. I still think it's okay. It's just not it just hasn't been a crazy mover. So if you're looking for something for crazy gains, like probably not rocket. But if you're looking for something that I think is solid for a little bit longer, like a longer term play, I think it's okay. It's kind of crazy too that this like COVID market has turned, to a degree, I think a lot of people in general, like you look at a stock like, I don't know, you look at anything, look at like CGC, right? And you say, hey, like, if I don't see 100% potential here, I'm not going to play it. Because we've been seeing, like, if we just take a step back and think about it, we've been seeing some absolutely insane runs, just in general, across any stocks, whether you want to talk penny stocks, large cap, small cap, whatever you want to talk about. They're just like Neo. I mean, reality is like, is that something that you see all the time? No. You know, the COVID market, people being home, trading more, and all that stuff, stimulus and all that stuff, has made things nuts. It's just been absolutely nuts. So, I mean, at some point where we're going to go back to normal, I don't know what normal ever is going to be anymore. Who knows? You know, but I just don't want people to get caught up in saying, hey, like, I'm awesome. Like, I've made, you know, so much money in the past couple months. And then, you know, when things kind of change or when things go back to kind of how they were, the same strategy is not going to work. So just understand that always going to have to adapt. Oh, like the SPAC strategies that we've been playing for all these SPACs, that's not going to be around forever, right? That's not going to work forever. Eventually, it's not going to work. It works until it doesn't work, so try it, go for it until it doesn't work, right? That's how I see it. Take advantage of what you can. Riot is one that I'm watching, so I see a couple Riot messages. Okay, so Riot, I mean, if we're just taking a step back and looking at what Riot did last time Bitcoin was at 20K, I mean, look at Riot. But I don't expect it to make a move like that. However, I don't know. Things could get nutty because Bitcoin got a push. Now, Riot had an S3, so what does that mean? That means they essentially can now drop an offering, or they filed for the ability to offer more shares to the public. That doesn't mean that they have done it, but they can. So that's what happened on Friday. That's why Riot sold off to about $9. So for me on these plays, Riot, MARA, these are going to be correlated to Bitcoin, right? So for those who aren't familiar, you want to watch Bitcoin's price. So look at Bitcoin, right? We're watching Bitcoin. It's trying to break out of this downtrend, pushing up. We'll see what happens. Is this the week that Bitcoin pushes up over 20K and makes a move? If it does, I will be buying Riot again, just short term, and riding it up. But that's just my take. I don't want to be buying it up here. My hope is that they drop an offering, the stock price falls back. Maybe it goes back down towards like $8, dare I say $7. If we get a quick drop to $8 or $7, I will buy it. I will buy that. Almost guaranteed I will buy it. And then I will ride it back up. If Bitcoin breaks back over 20K, this thing should get crazy, and I would anticipate it to eclipse these highs if Bitcoin breaks 20K. That's my intention for Riot. Mara, if Bitcoin breaks 20K, I want to see $10. So I'm looking at something that right now is at 545, after hours. 100% potential, yeah, I think it does. It has that potential if things get crazy. So what are some other plays that I like the most for next week? Bitcoin does do that. MFH. MFH has some ties, has some connections there, so I like it. It's one of those that once it gets found, I think it will run. It's a penny stock play, so proceed with caution, but it has these spike histories. So I want to see it break over 320. Over 320, we get 350. Over 350, we get potentially $4. Those are my levels I want to see for MFH. And then WKEY is another one that has ties there as well. It's at that 50 SMA. I think it has some room down towards maybe $5.50 and $5. I wouldn't want to hold it below 5. That's just me. That's how I'm going to trade it. But it has ties to crypto as well. So that's why I like those two. I think they will get found. What you're going to see is if we break 20K in Bitcoin, your normal, your Bitcoin, your Riot, your Mars are going to go. They're going to run. Okay. But then a lot of traders are going to look to the other plays, the sympathy plays, what else they can find, and they're going to start to find the ones that may have the slightest ties, the company that maybe mentioned blockchain or crypto in some press release somewhere. Someone's going to find it. They're going to post it on social media. They're going to post it on Twitter. They're going to post it on StockTwits. They're going to post it in some free chat rooms, and the stock is going to get run. That's how this stuff works. That's what's going to happen. So you want to be finding those and getting ready, positioning, and that's where WKey and MFH, that's why I'm in those ahead of time. That's my take. So about the whole Bitcoin kind of stuff. Home Depot looks out at support. Yes, it does, because Home Depot, we looked at briefly, but here it is. It's beautiful. I mean, look at this range. It's low 260s, beautiful buy range, and up towards 300 is your sell range. Would be either going to break out to the downside or to the upside. I like it to the upside. I like this to make a bigger move back up. So I like Home Depot. CLSK, CleanSpark. It's been pushing up, so it's looking decent. It's consolidating and trying to make a potential extension back on up. So I want to see it breaking out to the upside. I know people who like this one for the long haul. I haven't done enough research into it myself to take a position in it yet. So I'm sitting on the sidelines. There's just too many things. I mean, there's so many, there's so many trades you can be in it all the time. And you can't be in them all, right? You can't be in every single trade. So that's that. That's Clean Spark. So let's see what else we got going on. Really quick, guys, if you wouldn't mind, just hit the thumbs up button. I don't know what you want me to do that. If I wear this hat the rest of the time, maybe you'll hit the button. And by the way, you can get 4 free stocks with Webull in the pinned comment and description box down below. There's a description box. That's for those who also have questions about the platform that I'm using. I'm using Webull. I promote it. I like it. I use it every day. So I think it's fair enough to promote it, even though I get 1 free stock and you guys get 4 if you sign up now. Like, that's just insanely skewed to you, like, as you're benefiting, and you're not paying anything to do it. Like, you're just depositing $100. You can always take it out if you want, but it's awesome. So, okay, let me find some more ideas. Pfizer, not a huge fan. I just don't want to mess with it. Ozon, so O-Z-O-N, they call it the Russian Amazon, right? This thing has been pushing up, so I'm not in it, but I was looking at it down in here around 40. But it looks good. I mean, this thing could get a good run to the rest of the year, I think, for sure. So I'm not gonna mess with it personally, but I like it. For those who are in, I like it. NNDM, I'm up 50% of my position that I bought like 3 weeks ago, just kind of randomly. And it's like NNDM is like they'll drop an offering and you just buy it and it just goes up. Like, it's one of those. Let's see, NLS. Let's take a look at NLS right here. Let's see. Okay, so we have a nice little uptrend developing. I mean, a big uptrend developing. So it's sitting here. We have some support down around 1750-ish. So we're coming down towards this line. So we come down towards this trend line, which will put us probably around 18, 17, depending upon where we hit it exactly. Break out to the upside, I think we might. So let's get rid of this little line right here. It looks good. I mean, it looks like it's a spot where it pulled back. Okay, fair enough. It made some big moves the past few months. Let it consolidate, do its thing, and then boom, push up to the upside. Breaks above this 2350. It's got a nice little gap towards 26. So I like it. I like NLS, actually. Probably not something I'm personally going to play, but that's just my style. It's something that there's just so many things to play. So, but for me, I would potentially be buying calls a little bit, give it some time. Buy these calls a little bit out in terms of time, maybe into like next year. And then if we get the rebound in, sooner rather than later, then boom, there you go. WTRH. So WTRH, I'm probably going to be careful with this one and look to slowly scale out of this guy, because my only thing is that food delivery plays like this were awesome. The thesis made sense, but the problem is that we just have vaccine news coming. So with vaccine news coming, I just don't know if I like it that much. We get vaccine news, these are going to pull back, most likely. So personally, I don't want to be in it when we get a bigger drop, so I'm going to just take my time on that guy. RUT Carvo. Yeah, so I have a Twitter. I don't tweet. I just have a Twitter account, but I don't tweet. I use it to follow people and stay in tune with what's going on. I don't really use it. I don't. Nothing against people that I follow that I like. Nothing against people who alert stuff. Just not me. Not what I want to do. I don't intend to be like someone who wants to alert and has a group and says, "Hey, I bought this." The problem is that there's ways to do it, and I just don't want it to be. I don't want it to be where like people just buy something because I bought something. Number one, I just don't think that makes any sense. And there are people who would say, "I would never do that. I would never buy it because you bought." Who are you, right? Yes, exactly. But at the same time, there are people who don't care and who will just do it. And so I don't want someone to do that and then lose money and not know what's going on. Or even if they make money, it just puts you in the wrong frame. You should be able to. You want to be able to do this yourself. That's the longevity aspect. You don't want to rely on somebody to tell you what to do. That's the whole point. So that's the name of the game. That's the whole point of the channel. The whole point of us coming together and curating a big watch list, coming together with awesome ideas. That's the whole point. So we can come together, build up a big idea list, right? It's not about like we can be in, people can trade the same stocks and make money. It's just not, in my opinion, it's not about buying what somebody bought just because they bought it. No, that's not, I don't like that. Don't like it. So That's my answer to the Discord stuff. Oh, I don't need Discord. I just there's probably a better way I could do something eventually, but not right now. I'm not a fan. So I'd rather just make my videos, give my ideas, share my experiences. That's my take. HCMC. Let's see. I believe I remember watching this guy. Not a fan of this. Not a fan of this. No. The play from Zoom, Piton, Apple. I like Apple actually. Let me show you Apple. Apple I didn't take because I'm not going to play options. But if we had a pullback, so Apple. I mean, look at this. I mean, we have a nice uptrending support right here, and then we kind of have like what looks like a breakout. So if we can put in like a downtrend line kind of, so we're kind of breaking out to the upside for Apple right now. So I like that. I like that kind of look. Let it come down and let it push back up. As long as SPY continues to push up, vaccine news, potential stimulus news, overall market pushes up, Apple's going to push up most likely. There you go. So I like it. I like Apple on this breakout of this kind of consolidation pattern. I mean, Apple, look at the extension we've had the past few months. It had a period of consolidation. This is what you see. It had a period where, hey, we consolidated. We pushed up so much, and then it came down, and we consolidated, chilling, and now we can make it the next move up into the end of the year. That's my take. We'll see. Let's see. HCIC I like. FSR is money. I think FSR is going to push. It's funny. FSR is a stock that I didn't do it, but let me tell you, I was thinking about it. We pushed up and it came back down. I said, you know what? Now's the time where no one's talking about FSR, right? I haven't seen as much talk on social media. Those who were in it, right, who either lost money because they panic sold down here, or they wrote it up, they sold, they're out, whatever. Some people are still holding, yeah, for sure. But I'm like, this is the time to buy. This is when it gets quiet. I guess when things are red, when it's bloody, relative term, right? We were up at 23, but we really, realistically, a couple months ago, not even, like a month and a half, we're at like $8, under $10. It's still up massively. It's like up 100% since then. But this could be the time to buy. This could be a decent time to buy for a little bigger move. Another push back up over 20. I think it's going to happen. At least my thoughts in the near term, maybe into the end of the year. So we'll see. Leverage channel. Any opinion on NNDM? NNDM I like. I bought some for the long haul. I bought some and am up 50% from just like a couple weeks ago. Buy on the red days. If you buy NNDM on the red days, I mean, like, give it some time. You probably will be up on that. My take, although it may cool off at some point, right? It's not going to go up forever, right? AQB. I've been seeing a couple of AQBs pop up. Let's see what this guy's all about. Okay, well, I can see where you're coming from here. But the only problem for me is that it's not something that I like, because I don't personally like playing something up this much. Because what do we have? Look at this. Look at the downside. This thing can get cut in half tomorrow, and no one would care. People would care, right? But it could go back down to 4, and it's in a better buy range toward this trend line. I mean, it's a better spot. I don't know enough about it to say, hey, buy it up here. If you're going to be someone who's going to buy something like that's up this much, up 100% since like a couple days ago, really, you better know what you're doing, and you better know, hey, there's more driving it. There's a catalyst. There's fundamentals that are at play here that are really solid. If that's all fine, then sure, then you can buy it up here. But if you're going to be buying it up here because someone told you to buy it or there's hype, does that make any sense? Risk reward wise, to me, I don't like that. That's just me. FUV Arcimoto. Let's take a look at FUV. This is they had some offerings, I believe, as well. So this thing has got some support here down around $11. I'm not sure I'm a huge here. I would let it come down. I mean, we were talking about it, right? And it was like back down in here, right? When we had this kind of resistance line, we were talking about it was pushing up, and we were like, yeah, EVs are hot. FUV is getting up towards this resistance line. It looks pretty good. It pushed up, pulled back, and then boom, rocked. So this thing went up over 100%, killed it for those who were in it. So cool. You've been skipping arms day. Workhorse is good at USPS waiting. Also, though, for those who don't know, I actually had a fitness channel. The first channel I had on YouTube was a fitness-related channel. Big into fitness. My only thing with fitness is that I just didn't like how the industry was, and how it was like, yeah, there's people who are real who are fine, but the industry kind of came to like just steroids and like that was how you stood out. I was like, I mean, there's other ways to stand out for sure, but like everybody's on like TRT or doing something stupid. You know, I'm just not a fan of that stuff. So I pivoted and did something else that I liked. That was actually a couple years ago though too. DDOG. What do we got for DDOG? Okay, so it's pushing up. We have an uptrend right here. Let's see. So we got higher lows being put in roughly. I'm not a huge fan of where it's at, but it could, if it can pop up back over like some of these highs right here at like 104, makes it push back up toward these all-time highs, right? That looks pretty solid. So I like LCA. For those commenting, I like LCA. I have some, like I've said in the past. We have the merger date on the 18th, so we got time, a little over 10 days. So plenty of time for a little bit more of a run. If it hits $30, I may have to take some profits because I'd be up pretty large since my entry's down around here. But we'll see what happens. This could be a good play to potentially sell into the into the date, then buy the dip. Buy the dip if it does dip after, or not sell all your shares, maybe sell half your shares, and then buy the dip. I like it long term anyway. So. I'm messing the profile. all good. I also, one thing too is that I haven't been able to properly, as I would say, because I'm big into the fitness stuff and into working out and lifting and stuff. So I haven't been able to properly work out in a year. I've had this shoulder issue for like so long, so I've had to go like very light and like work back. That aside, let's see. APXT is good. Let's take a look at APXT. APXT is one. Okay, yeah. So there's a few. There's like APTX and there's APXT. There's like a bunch of the similar names. They all mess with me. Pull back here, right down to here, pushing up to like 14. We're up in the 14s. I want to see it kind of make a nice little like U-shape or V-shape pop, and then push it back up towards like $20 would be a decent target. Let's see. UPS or FedEx. Okay, so we've been talking about we've messed with some of these. UPS, FedEx. We've briefly talked about some of these. So let's look at them both and say what's better. Do we want to go UPS or do we want to go FedEx here? Okay, so we kind of have an uptrend right here on UPS. Decent uptrend. Have some resistance up here around 178. So those are my levels. 178 is the next price. I would get rid of this little line right here for now. So 178 is our number. We got to break above that, putting in higher lows, looking pretty strong lately. Okay, FedEx. What is FedEx? Okay, FDX. Here it is, FDX. This is looking strong too, and this is hitting new highs. So FedEx is already there. UPS is like right behind it. So we have FedEx that's respecting the 50 SMA. So this blue line is pushing up, so it's respecting that line. 300. Is our line, it's just a natural area of support or resistance level, these whole numbers. So 300 would be a bigger breakout. That's what I'm watching for that. So we'll see. I personally FedEx is pushing up. I like that. The only problem with UPS, the reason why I don't necessarily like this one, is just because we have to break above this prior level. We already did that on FedEx. So they're both very similar. I would say either one is probably fine if you're looking to play one of them. If not, play half on each, and there you go. FedEx breaks above 300, that would be a beautiful push. If it does, it may pull UPS along with it. So, please, guys, if you wouldn't mind smashing the thumbs up button, I really appreciate. No, awesome though, guys. This is awesome. I mean, this is what we love. Lots of ideas in the chat. Awesome stuff. As long as you guys are put some reasonings behind some stuff too, and that's even better. Because if you just put a ticker symbol. If I just see a random ticker symbol, I don't see enough stuff behind that. I might not take a look at it. More info behind them is awesome. We're building a huge watch list here, and then also I'll talk about some of my plays here before we wrap things up in just a little bit. But if you wouldn't mind hitting the thumbs up button, appreciate you guys so much. We hit 300 likes last Sunday. We can get close, but I don't know. We'll see if we can do it. PLTR is one that we've been watching. I'm not in. I just been watching from the sidelines, but if we look at a 4-hour chart, PLTR is like right on that trend line. So right in here, we have a trend line developing, right, that we've been putting in. It's at the line. Yet again, here we are. We're sitting at PLTR. It's uptrending. It's at the trend line. I like it. We talked about this one last time. I said, hey, if it comes back towards this trend line, that's a better buy in my opinion. And it was. The first time here, you could have bought it at the line around 21.50, sold it literally within like a day at 25. Now it's down around 20, under 24. We break back above 25. This thing could push up back to the upside and maybe shot breaking those highs again. So that would be awesome. PLTR looks solid. It really does. I like it. I mean, personally for me, I'm not gonna chase it up here. But if you're looking to play it, respect the trend line, and if you're playing it for a short-term trade, boom, it looks good. And it's been it's been volatile enough to make decent money. SNDL, yes, SNDL. I have talked about SNDL early, but I'll look at it again because there's a lot more people watching now. So for those who don't know, this is a weed-related stock, sundial growers, based in Canada. So we have a 60-cent support. Why is 60-cent support? Prior area of a high. So if we look at this, back on the 9th of November, we hit 60 cents as the high pulled back, or at least that's what the daily chart says. The daily chart shows 60 cents. So that's what we like to look at as areas of support and resistance. So 60 cents. Came down to it a couple days ago, boom. Came down to it again on Friday, bounced. Now, if 60 cents can't hold, they also filed for the ability to drop an offering. So they filed for the ability to offer more shares to the public, which means that the stock price could drop, right? More supply, stock price could fall. If that does actually happen, just because they filed for the ability to do so doesn't mean they're going to do it. So we'll see what happens. Also, Riot, RIOT, did the same thing. Haven't dropped it yet, but it could happen. So understand that there's a risk there. When you see an offering with a lot of stocks, you see pullbacks at least temporarily. Sometimes they're bigger than others, depending upon the stock. So SNDL holds 60 cents. If it can't, I want to see it hold 50 cents. That's this area right here. We came up to an area of resistance back here, consolidation back here. 50 cents, also a natural area. If we can't hold 50 cents, then I wouldn't touch it. Let it kind of come back down, consolidate before we make a bigger move. That's my take on SNDL. Weed stocks in general, I want to see pullbacks. We'll see what happens Monday. We could get a spike, but I personally am going to wait for pullbacks. I sold. I made money on them last week. Fine. I'll wait to reassess to get better entries, greedier entries, at least for me, into the next couple of weeks, into really 2021 is what I'm thinking for a lot of these stocks. IGC is sort of a weed stock as well. It has ties there as well. A lot of these stocks, IGC is one of those penny stock plays where it's like, hey, they get put out a press release tomorrow, and they could be in the EV space for all you know. That's the type of thing that you see with a lot of these stocks, like DPW. You'll see it happen all the time. So that's that. IGC kind of downtrend developing up. We're coming to what looks like it could be, potential, bull flag or something like that. So maybe something goes on with IGC. If not, it has some support around these highs. So bound around 180, 175 could be better areas for IGC. Let it settle. But this is one that, hey, if weed stocks start pushing, IGC is a good one to always have on the list. In addition to that, if we take a look at what we kind of have right here, we kind of have some higher lows being put in. So we can kind of put in this line, higher lows being put in. It's uptrending generally on the support basis. So if it comes back down and it comes back down under 130, that's a good buy in my opinion, just technically speaking. MP, only rare earth materials to mine in the U.S. Okay, that's good because we had that Trump file or sign that thing talking about how they wanted to kind of push that over China. That's pretty big. CSIQ, take a look at CSIQ. CSIQ. Canadian Solar, yeah. I like it. I like Canadian Solar from what I was looking at recently. Okay, we can get rid of this for now because we're kind of past that. We have some support here around 37, 38. Let's see. Yeah, it looks pretty decent for a decent kind of recovery bounce back up. I want to see these stocks pushing up. Overall uptrend line, if we do come back down towards 37, there's your, 38, better buy in my opinion, for a nice bounce. But that's that. CIIC I think is solid. That's that. Buy AMD. Let's take a look at AMD. AMD is pushing up. I want to see AMD break 100. That would be awesome. AMD over 100 would be the move. That's the name. That's the next push. So we have a $74 support for now. We have resistance up around where it's at. So it's got to clear. It's having some trouble right now where it's at, but it's probably with the strength we've been seeing lately from this stock, it should probably push through eventually. So I like that. Cgix, it's one that I played a while back. Where is it? Cgix. Check. Oh, well, here you go. It's at here's our trend line. So I have a 50 SMA bounce around 34-ish. So it comes down there. The trend line's right there, uptrending, putting in higher lows. This is a stock that has some range. I mean, it's in that we like a lot of these bottomed out biotech plays. That's what's been hot lately. So I like Check. I do. And that's something that, I might put on the list and dive a little bit deeper into what's going on there this week and maybe take an entry in that guy. Potential news coming. If that's the case, then that's awesome. What are your thoughts on Riot, Mara, and Bitcoin? So my thoughts on both of those is that I'm going to stay away from them until Bitcoin breaks out. So I want to see Bitcoin over 20K. If Bitcoin does go over 20K, then I will take positions heavier in Riot and Mara. Shorter term, ride them up. Then there's also going to be other plays. So for example, other stocks that I have on my list, XNET is one that I like a lot too. I'm just going to write this down because I want to make sure I look at this one for tomorrow. Has some Bitcoin crypto ties. XNET, MFH as well. Look at this uptrend we have on XNET. Nice uptrend. This stock pushes up when we get Bitcoin pushing up as well sometimes. I like it. So you're going to want to look to other stocks that have those ties. So MFH is the next one that I think has some ties as well. So if Bitcoin breaks 20K, you're going to see the usuals go, the usual suspects, the Riot, the Maras, but then you're going to want to look to other stocks that have some ties somewhere, and I can almost guarantee that somebody on Twitter is going to start finding little random companies that have some ties. They said in some press release somewhere that they're, have connections to crypto, to Bitcoin, to whatever, and so whatever that does, they're going to send that around. It's going to get attention, and the stock's going to run up because Bitcoin is running up. That almost happens every time with these types of trends in different kind of sectors when this runs. So I'm waiting for Bitcoin to go. It's taken its time. It's gotten up there. It's Bitcoin's looking good. It's still up over 19,000 for right now, so I think it's fine. So I like it. LAZR, I'm not gonna mess with because it's already up too much. But for those who are in it, awesome. It's already up a lot for me, so I'm not gonna be messing with it. Let's see. What else? CRM, Salesforce, big dip. Okay, let's take a look at CRM. Because I like to buy the dips. So there you go. So here you go. This is kind of looking like a decent dip buy, in my opinion, down to like 220-ish area, pushing back up. Now let's see if it can make a recovery and fill this gap up towards 220, 235, 240. That's the kind of your gap. So you got about a $10 gap. John, appreciate it. Appreciate the donation. Awesome. Let's see what else. Disney over 155. Let's see what else we can do. DIS. Disney, Walt Disney. Yeah, Disney's looking very strong too. I mean, look at this. So we were watching it, right? And Disney, right, we had this little resistance line right here, this 137. We pushed up, and it's been making some higher lows. It's looking good. I mean, Disney's pushing up, making new highs, new region highs. I mean, 155, a whole nice round hole area, could be a nice natural area of support, resistance right now because we're below it. So that's what I'll be watching. So I'm definitely going to be watching that one to the upside. Doubling down on MP. What's MP at? Let's take a look. This thing is pushing up, and if it can break 25, this should make a nice breakout. And it's weird how the chart sometimes just looks kind of weird, like on a super random kind of scale. There's not as much chart history, but look at this. So we pushed up, we had some wicks, and now we pulled back. Fine, healthy pullback, and now we're recovering to the upside. This is looking very strong with a nice push back towards 25. Would be a great move to the upside, in my opinion. EVFM. Let's take a look. EVFM. So I'll tell you guys, I was in EVFM a while back, and some of you guys know, and it was the unfortunate kind of we had, they launched their product and the stock fell off. So it was a sell the news event. The stock sold off. And what I did was I, sold some here, and then I said, okay, I rebought another account. I rebought down around $2, and then I wrote it back up. And once I saw it kind of putting a couple of these tops in, and we had this prior area, right, this prior trend line, looks so nice, in the past, right? The past, over the summer, right? This looked beautiful. Spring and summer months, right? And then it cracked. Prior areas of support become new resistance, and it literally showed up perfectly. We had this line already drawn in, and it came back up. EVFM came back up towards $3. Also $3 lining up with a natural whole number area of solid resistance. We couldn't break above, and we came back down. So It's in a decent spot. I think is fine. It's an oversold play. I think it's actually not a bad spot to be. Down around $2 is a decent buy in my opinion. I'm not in right now, but I don't think it's bad. I think it certainly has some range, and with some potential positive news, this thing can certainly go back to the upside. So that's that. Yes, I want to talk about. I want to look at Tesla now. I want to look at Tesla because Tesla has now the new price target, right? So we're watching Tesla. Let's take a peek. Now, guys, I'm going to tell you right now. We talked about this before. I had a bold prediction of Tesla over 600. I just want to say it has happened. So here we are. I made that prediction back when it was in the 300s or 400s. I bought Tesla shares back then, and that's it. And it pushed up. So it is what it is. But that's awesome. I mean, pat myself on the back. Who cares, right? At the end of the day. Tesla over 6. Do I dare say 650 to 7 by the end of the year? I don't know. I'm not going to get that crazy. But the new price target could be crazy. And we've been seeing in this market, whenever like a crazy price target comes out, like it seems like all these stocks, all they want to do is just magnet to that price target. So I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla just pushes up. It looks bullish, in my opinion, right? So we in the prior weeks, we had an area of 465 resistance, uptrending support. A very bullish sign to me. I like those setups, right? We have a top line resistance, uptrending support, higher lows. It looks solid. We broke out, cool. Now what we kind of have is kind of looks like, higher lows generally being put in, and we have like a 608 or so resistance now. So we pop back above that. This thing can make a big bullish push, to the upside. So Tesla pulled back, and then it got the price target news, and it immediately popped. And I think it has some more room to the upside, and then that could also be something we want to watch for a lot of other EV stocks in general, not just Tesla. Let's watch other EVs. You want to now start to watch the Neos, the Hyliions, the FSRs, the Workhorse. That's all stuff we want to be watching as well, because Tesla kind of leads the pack. Now, speaking of Workhorse, let's talk about Workhorse. So, Workhorse had the news, and actually it was a decent time to buy, in my opinion. I thought it would come down a little more, but we had the news of the delayed USPS contract, right? So, it's like, oh my gosh, now what's going to happen? End of the day, not huge for now. We'll see what happens. But it's pushing back up. It's got some resistance around 22, 23. It was a prior area of support. That's what I have right there. So we can break back above that, fill this gap towards 25, and Workhorse is back to where it was. The buy range for Workhorse was right in here, under 17. That was for this area of consolidation in the past. It was solid, pushed up, came back down. That you had a couple days to do it, and it pushed up, and you literally could have almost doubled your money if you bought it down under 15, which you had the chance to do. And the thing pushed up to like 30 cents to $30. So there you go. Do I have a buy price? For me, for Tesla, what I have done for Tesla personally is I just bought it. I believe I bought it in the 400s. Like I bought it like somewhere in here, and I've been riding it since. I don't know. Personally, I think it's one of those stocks where you have cash available, buy, and if it dips, and you have more cash available, buy some more. Like that's just my take on Tesla. I don't think it's a huge honestly, you're gonna get more dips, but we might be looking at a more longer term push up right now with the new price target and with the market looking pretty strong right now. So I think it might not be a terrible time. If you're gonna buy something, buy it, and then if we get a dip in a couple months or a couple weeks, then be ready to buy the dip. That's just my VALE. This stock has been really pushing up. So we had the overall, the pandemic sell off, and we recovered, and we kind of held up, and now it's pushing up beautifully. So, I mean, I don't know enough about it to be honest with you to tell you like, hey. But it's in that, minerals mining. So, okay, so that's the industry we're looking at. Basic minerals, basic materials. This has been hot lately. These are some stocks that have been doing pretty well. So I like it. It's pushing out, hitting new highs. So not something that I'm going to buy because it's already super overextended. But if I was someone who caught it earlier, then that's looking really good. Okay, BIOL. Let's take a look at that. BIOL. Okay, this is one that I don't want to say it was overplayed, but I've played it a lot in the past. But right, we're in that kind of healthcare kind of like sector, right? This stock is oversold. We're seeing a stock that's around 30 cents. It looks like it's got some support around 25 cents. I mean, I don't know. You tell me what you think. This is a decent risk reward in my opinion. For me, I've played it a lot, and so it's run its course for me. We'll see if we can get another run on it, but we'll see what happens. Could be the time. What's your opinion on FCEL? I like it. I think FCEL, they had an offering, I believe, right? If I'm not mistaken. So it dipped. I think it's the time to buy this thing up, and I think it's going to be back over $10 very soon. So I like FCEL. I may take a position, may not. I'm not sure if I'm going to take it, but my take on FCEL for right now, and we'll see. Completely agree with Tesla. I think, yeah, we can see it over 1,000. Why not? I'm for sure. Let's see what else. Shroom stocks. If you can find magic mushrooms, I mean, like, I'm telling you, there was one there. It's actually hilarious. So this company reached out to me a couple months back, saying, "Hey, could you make a top 5 pennies or top 3 penny stock video?" And I said, "What are the stocks? Like, what do you mean?" And so they gave me the stocks, and one of these stocks, I forget the name, but it was one of those psychedelic companies, and the stock's done extremely well. Since I didn't actually make the video because I wasn't going to make some random OTC penny stock video on someone telling me to make top 3. No, I wasn't going to do that. They were like, "Yeah, we'll pay you $500." I didn't do the video. I saw people who did the video. Say what we want to say about them. I was just not going to do that because I prefer to do my own research, and I'm not going to have someone tell me which stocks to put in the video. So that's that. But I think it's like PYSC. Let me see if I can find it. PYSC. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not PY. Maybe it's PCYS. I forget what it was. But it's one of those. It's one of those psychedelic related plays, and it's done extremely well over the past couple weeks now. Right, since the legalizations and stuff, or whatever in Oregon, so it's been crazy. Taking a look at NIO, I'm telling you guys, I missed out. I could have absolutely crushed a trade on NIO this week. I just didn't take it. So it came down to 8.50. I had a prior area of support here of 38 cents. I mean $38. Didn't take the trade. It was down over 10% on the day. I could have taken it early morning, and it recovered intraday from 38 to 48. I had my finger on the trigger on options. I literally had it on the trigger. I pulled up the option chain. I was like, okay, I'm gonna pick these up. I just didn't do it. It is what it is. It is what it is. You can't win them all, right? So, so I gotta get better at just taking those trades. Now, for me, we'll see what happens. I'm just generally not someone who likes to trade options too much right now. So maybe at some point in the future, but that's one of those things too that I think is something that's still holding me back too. Is there still a degree of somewhat of a fear, right? So you kind of have to get to a point where you're fearless and where it's just you're in a flow state of like, hey, this setup, this meets my criteria, I'm going to take the trade. This looks good, I'm going to take it. And generally, as you have more experience and you're in the game longer enough, your gut instinct, or I don't want to say it's a gut instinct, but your instinct is going to pay off. Like it pays off. But, right, more often than not. But, it just didn't, I just didn't take the trade. That is what it is. Let's see. What do you think about SHIP? Okay, let's take a look at SHIP. Now, a bunch of these shippers have been pushing up. SHIP pushed. I'm watching shippers this week. SHIP has a massive gap to fill towards like $1. So SHIP could go crazy if the shippers get a continuation. A lot of volume, so we'll see. I'm not a huge fan right now because it's already up. So let's see what happens. And if we get a bigger push, it could be a play. Shippers this time of year is generally their time, but it's like they're hit or miss, and they're kind of getting overshadowed by like EVs and other stuff these days. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm not a huge fan of the SHIP, the tops. They've done me dirty. They're just kind of like, I feel like when I'm in those trades, it's like you got to kind of push and grind it out. Where it's not as just like it flows. It's not as like just zen, kind of sit back, and that's it. It's like you got to kind of watch it. It's like you're pushing it up. It's like it's not going. And it's like one of those. So for me, it's not a stock. I played it enough to the point where I'm not a huge fan of it. So that's just how it is. I am using Webull. So for those of you guys who don't know, this is Webull's platform. There's also a customized layout. So if you guys don't know. This right here, there's a video on my channel where I go over how to build a customized layout so you can see, and you can customize it differently than me. This is how I have it. I'm using this layout right here just for a bigger chart so we can get an easier to see chart because I know it's a little bit small on mobile and stuff like that. But when I actually am using the platform and trading on it, I use the customized layout, which I have a video on if you want to check it out. But also, you can get 4 free stocks. I don't want to kind of like overhammer that, but at the same time, it's an awesome incentive, and it's ending on the 14th of December. At least that's what they told me last time. They keep extending it, but that's what they told me last time. And so you sign up, you deposit $100, you get 4 free stocks, and you can cash them out. Cash out your money if you want. It's no risk. It's just a platform. They want you to sign up. You're also going to get level 2 right here, NASDAQ Total View level 2 for 3 months for free. After that, it's like $2 a month, not $1.99 a month. If you don't want to pay, whatever, I pay for it. It's like it's awesome. I like level 2, and I get 1 free stock when you do it. So you guys help contribute to growing the account. So if you guys haven't also been following and subscribed to the channel and don't know, I started an account. Well, I started this Webull account 15 months ago with $300. I've added some money. I've gotten some free stocks, but I've also compounded it awesome. Like I've made a decent amount of money in it too, and so we're trying to grow that to now 15. We hit 15,000 about a year later. And now we're trying to go from 15,000 to 100,000 by September of 2021. That's the goal. We're at 20K right now. We made a $5,000 push. Now can we get to 100K, 5x it in whatever, how many months until September? So we got some time, but that's what we're doing on the channel. So I make videos every single Saturday going over my trades the past week and the stocks I'm watching to next week on top of these lives. So if you're not subscribed, highly recommend it. Appreciate you guys, all of you guys who are watching right now, who are throwing awesome ideas in the chat, who are liking the stream. Appreciate you guys so much. I'm going to be doing more live streams during the weeks, so stay tuned for that as well. Let's look at a couple more things, and then we'll wrap things up here in about 15 minutes or so. For when it comes to Sink or Swim TD Ameritrade, I've used TD Ameritrade, Sink or Swim. I had a lot of issues with it. There's some glitches. There's some little things they got to iron out. They're still fairly new. I like TD Ameritrade. I like Webull with the extended hours, trading hours from 4 a.m. to 8 p.m. That's why I like it so much. So that's my thoughts. ARLO, and so let's see what we got here. ARLO Technologies is looking like it's pushing up. It's got more volume as of late. Okay. I mean, it's already up there. For me, I don't know. It's getting some more volume. Volume precedes price, so that's a good sign. But I mean, it's already up there a lot. So I'm personally going to be, not a huge fan with it being already up a lot recently. But it has some range. Look back to the left, and it's got some more range, so it could keep going for sure. Let's take a look at UI. This is a bad boy that's this is looking like a nice, so this is a good pattern. I like these types of patterns where you have a push up, right? You come back down and you develop some support. So we have some support here on this 241-ish area. And then you start making that U shape on up. And many times when you break back above these recent highs, you get a bigger breakout. So we break back above this 271. This can make a push towards 300 into the end of the year. So I like that. I like that chart setup. Neo, I think Neo, I have some. Let's just take a look. Let's take a peek. Okay, so Neo, I like 38 bucks support. What I'm seeing for right now around 38 bucks. So that's that for Neo. I'm buying those dips, and I missed out on an amazing dip on Wednesday. Airlines and cruise ships. This is actually an interesting point because you know what? So here's a different way to play the vaccine. So people have been talking about Pfizer. So look at Pfizer. Look at PFE, right? Anticipating getting the emergency use authorization for the U.S., right? We're anticipating that. We're getting it approved in other countries. So we're anticipating that happening. Cool. That said, right, look at the chart. Look at the range. Now, could the stock go, 50 plus? Sure. But look at the stock. Look at the range. You don't have as much range if you're playing Pfizer, right, in terms of the recent price action. However, take a look at something like AAL, American Airlines, where one of these stocks, right? Oh, this is not AAL. This is AA. We want to look at American Airlines. Here it is. Okay, so it's been pushing up. But here's my thesis on a lot of these airline stocks and cruise ship stocks and why it may make more sense to buy these in anticipation of the vaccine news rather than buying Pfizer. Because take a look at this. On top of the vaccine, we also have, I've been seeing some stuff about stimulus as potentially we can, now I don't want to get into that because it's been a whole mess with stimulus. But I'm seeing potentially as early as Monday we could have a deal. We got that bipartisan bill. So I think Democrats, what's happening here is this. We have both sides, right, fighting back and forth. There's a whole thing. But I think this bipartisan bill could get approved. If that gets approved, market's going to probably go up. Market also looks very bullish. So look at SPY. And this is actually like a really cool thing. So SPY's breaking out, right? SPY's pushing up. We also have, so now we're going back to American Airlines. So SPY's pushing up, American Airlines making a recovery. We potentially could get some airline money, bailout money, in the stimulus. We'll see if that happens. We'll see. On top of that, vaccine news. Vaccine news is good for recovery stocks in general. They've popped on vaccine news. On top of that, right, look at the range. They have range. I mean, this chart, to get back to where it was trading pre-pandemic, you're talking about 100%. You're talking about American Airlines going up 100%. Now, is it going to go 100%? No. But could American Airlines spike 10, 20% within a couple of days of either stimulus news, vaccine news, or just all of it in general, or just ride the wave, ride the trend line up into the end of the year? That's a good idea. I like that. I like American Airlines. I like CCL. And what I would personally do if I were you, what I would do is, I know it's going to cost more money. I would go to the option chain for some of these stocks. I would go to the option chain. I would look and say, hey, I don't care about right now. I would look to like July of next year. Yes, it's going to be expensive. Yes, I know. But look at this. If you were to look and buy some calls, for example, Carnival Cruise, at a $25 call, right, is going to cost you about $500. Okay, so you pay for one contract. You pay $500 right now. Okay, yes, you're paying a lot of premium. It's a far out. Okay, yes, you pay $500 today. Carnival Cruise, right, has a recent high right here of 25-ish area, right? We clear that area. We get vaccine news. We get stimulus news. The market stays hot. This stock could go to $28 just like that. It could push it to $30. I don't know. Maybe it comes back down. Maybe it's a quick spike. But those options, I'll tell you right now, are going to spike. They're going to spike in value. And you're just, and worst case scenario, if we don't get the vaccine news right now, we don't get the stimulus, you have until July in the summer for this stock to make a recovery back to $30 plus. And as long as the stock gets to $30 plus, by the middle of July of next year, right, your $25 call is going to be in the money, and it's going to be at minimum break even. So do you think Carnival Cruise makes a $7 move in the next, like, 8 months? Or whatever it is. I don't even know how many months. Whatever, 6 months? I would bet on that. I would bet on a bigger move, personally. And so I think that is actually, that is personally how I would play the vaccine. Buy something a little bit further out on these recovery stocks. American Airlines, I'm sure you can buy JetBlue. Save, you can buy Carnival Cruise, Norwegian. I mean, take two, take three. Buy an airline, buy a cruise line. Buy both. Buy some contracts, buy them out, and there you go. That's what I like. I think that's a better way to play. Rather than playing Pfizer short-term calls, because what if, God forbid, they say no. They go, nope, we're not giving you the emergency use just yet. I can bet you that eventually we'll get it. It's coming, but maybe it doesn't happen right now. So give yourself some time, play the options a little bit safer, go heavier. You can go a lot heavier and feel a lot more confident in that trade. That's how I would do it. And that's now got me thinking probably what I'm going to be doing as well in my longer term portfolio. So there we go. That's awesome. Delta delivering the vaccine. Buy some Delta. Buy DAL, right? DAL. Delta goes, hey, we're delivering the vaccine. We go hit us up. Boom, Delta. You buy some Delta calls, right? You can buy however you want to do it. Let's say you want to go out again. Let's look at July. Where is July? Let's just go, okay, June. Let's go to June. You buy some Delta June 45, right? Delta goes to $50 plus in the next couple of weeks. Boom, you're good to go. You look at the market's looking strong. Delta's recovering. You got some, this is going to be worth a lot of money. If Delta goes to 50 plus. Boom. I like that. I like that strategy a lot better than buying, short-term calls on Pfizer, personally. Do I have a video about dealing with PDT rule I have a bunch. Okay, so I have a bunch of videos. Check out my swing trade playlist. I have some videos on that, but I'll briefly talk about the PDT rule. So my take for you on the PDT rule is if you don't have a Webull account or something, make a new account. So you can go a couple different ways. You can go multiple brokers accounts, and you can have 3-day trades on each broker. I've switched to a cash account as I was under 25,000 right now. I have done exceptionally well. Not exceptionally. I've done well and been very confident in my trades the past couple of weeks. Still under 25K, but I switched to a cash account. So now with a cash account, yes, I can only trade with settled funds, but I make sure that my account, I have mostly swing trades, but I'll take a few day trades here and there. But if I'm in a swing trade and I want to cut it or I want to take profits, I can do that intraday. And I don't have to worry about, well, I don't really want to take profits today because there's a PDT rule and I want to waste a day trade. The problem with that is that's messing with your head. You're messing with your head so much that all of a sudden the next day comes and the stock plummets or whatever, and you're like, yeah, I should have taken profits yesterday. But you didn't do it. Or you could have taken some off and then rebought the next day if it dips. So I would recommend a cash account 100%, 100 times over. Yeah, your position sizing is going to have to be smaller because you can only trade with settled funds. So it takes a couple of days after you close out a trade to trade with settled funds. Yes, but I would recommend that 100 times over dealing with the PDT rule. I think that's the best way to do it. And what a lot of people do is with their cash account, whether you're day trading, whether you're swing trading, whatever it is, you play it until you run out of cash. You run out of cash, okay, my day's over. I'm done. I'm going home. I'm back. I'm going to do whatever, right? If you want, right? If you have the time to do so. But I think swings are probably your best bet, in my opinion, to grow from that level. I have some videos on the channel, so check them out. Swing trading playlist. I have videos showing how I went from like 0 to 15K. And I'm going to make more. Once I hit 25K, I'll make another updated video about things I've learned, strategies I use to get 25K, the biggest things that held me back, things like that. And I will say that you back, so go cash account. You don't have to worry about it. You can take day trades. You just can't trade with unsettled funds. So that's how I would do it. Okay, so don't jinx it with stimulus. If we get stimulus, we get it. It's going to happen. It's going to happen either this month or it's going to happen in the next 2 months. It's going to happen. I just don't know when. I don't want to mess with it. But they did push a couple things. They had a couple things expiring at the end of December. So, for example, you have student loan forbearance is now pushed until the end of January. So my thought on that is that they're going to put it in the stimulus bill at some point with a lot of these things that expire. They just kicked it, pushed the deadline. They're going to put it in the stimulus bill. It's just give it a couple more, give it some more time so that, whatever. So people don't have to worry about it for right now. And then when we get the stimulus bill, hopefully they push a couple of those things. They set a deadline and then you have a little more time. So that's that. Okay, guys, what I'm going to do really quick is I am going to, what I think of Hyliion, ATIF. I like them both, actually. I mean, Hyliion's at support right now. So Hyliion, I can't say sell. It drops through the support. Maybe it's a sell. We'll see what happens. ATIF, I'm still in this guy. We're waiting on some news. They're uptrending. Look at this. We're uptrending. We have uptrending support. We have a dead bottom play, right? We bottomed out after the offering. We have a gap from us 85 back to $1. I think it's fine. I like ATIF. I have some shares and I have some sell orders if it comes back, if it makes a pop. They love. I did not just fart. If it was something else on the thing. ATIF. It has. They'd love to drop news. This is one of those penny stock plays. They just drop news all the time. So that's that. With that said, I am going to wrap things up because we're like 2 hours in. So I appreciate you guys so much. If you wouldn't mind on the way out, just smash the thumbs up button. I really appreciate you guys for doing so. This is awesome. We have 400 viewers right now, which I think is a record. We think we had like 300 something last week. This is a record. We didn't hit the like record, but I'll give it to you guys. We'll do it next week. Next week we'll hit the like record and we'll hit 500 likes, and that's that. There are a lot of stocks we're watching. This video should stay up on the channel so you can go back and rewatch things. I would be doing more lives during the week, so make sure you're staying tuned to that. Appreciate you guys so much for tuning in, so much for watching the channel, watching the streams. Good luck this week. Things are looking good. Last check on the futures. Let's see what we got going on. And they're barely red, so I wouldn't be too worried about that for right now. We'll see what happens. But thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good night. Good luck this week, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.